Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is a clear example. In 2022, Nigeria's Court of Appeal struck down the charges against him and ordered his release. The UN Working Group on Arbitrary Detention has also called for his unconditional release. Yet he remains in solitary confinement, in deteriorating health, and recently had to represent himself in court. Nigeria has signaled that the law is optional and targeting Christians is fair game. Just hours ago this morning, despite the pleas and cries of the Nigerian people and many Nigerian lawmakers, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was convicted on all charges.
All right. So, since yesterday, the Yorubas passed a judgment on Igbo people. Oh, yes. I made a video yesterday after that judgment, and I told us that I was going to, bring to us a lot of things that most of us might not have noticed from that judgment. But honestly speaking, I've not been myself since that yesterday. If you take the last two previous videos I've posted here, I haven't spoken. Yes, I've just been trying to gather myself together. It has not been easy, honestly speaking. But then, it's well, we move. Now, whenever I say it is the Yorubas that pass judgment on the Igbos, some people say, oh, are you trying to create a tribal violence or what? No. I know that there are some Yorubas that still love Igbo people. I know that for sure. But I can tell you that the judgment of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was in the hands of 4 Yoruba people. James Omotosho, the justice handling the case. The Chief Justice of Nigeria, or the Attorney General of Federation, she's a Yoruba woman. The Minister of Justice, he is a Yoruba man. And President Ahmed Bola Tinubu, he is a Yoruba man. These four people I mentioned are the people that have the power to stop that judgment or even to do otherwise about sentencing him to life imprisonment. But of course, they have planned, and that is their plan. But it's well, we move regardless, and all hope are not lost. I hope you know. And since yesterday, a lot of things has been happening. Honestly speaking, we've received a lot of news. I had somebody saying that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's sentence is a distraction from the genocide happening in Nigeria. That man you guys call, is it a VDM or a DVD? That is what he opened his mouth and said. That Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's sentence to life imprisonment is a distraction from the genocide that is happening in Nigeria. I said, Chai, Igbo people, una don't suffer for Nigeria, no be small. Una don't suffer for Nigeria, no be small. But you know what? I've been thinking a lot. In fact, throughout last night, I didn't sleep. I didn't eat. But I've been thinking a lot, and a lot of things has been coming and going through my mind. And when I saw this video I want to play for you now, I remember what Mazi Nnamdi Kanu said. He said that even if they kill him, that Biafra will come more faster. I know some of us may not understand that, or some of us may be asking questions. Oh, is he trying to lay his life for Biafra? I'm sure by now you must have understand, or you must have known the answer. Because if up to now he has not changed, he has not collected money, you know he's ready for this. Oh yes, and I can tell you that just 1 hour after yesterday's judgment, today is the 21st day of November, of course, and just 1 hour after his judgment yesterday, they talked about him in the US Congress. And let me also remind you, because I told you a lot of things is happening. Oh yes, but fortunately I can't bring it once, and some of them are called, you may not understand. So after 1 hour yesterday, after his judgment yesterday, the US Congress talked about him, about the injustice that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu has gotten from Nigerian judiciary. Oh yes, of course I'm going to play the video for you, and that is to tell you that Nigeria is even making Biafra more popular. Nigeria is even making him more popular by holding him down. Some of us may not understand, but I have a lot of things I have to reveal to you, but I'll be taking it gradually, all right? So I beg you to do well to subscribe to this channel. A lot of things is going on. We must be very careful this period. A lot of things is going on. And I can tell you that these people have some plan. Anyway, I'll pause for here now. I will allow you now to listen to the US Congress talking about Mazi Nnamdi Kanu and talking about what is happening in Nigeria yesterday, about the genocide. Yeah, okay. Today, about 52 or 55 children has been kidnapped from one St. Mary Catholic nursery and primary school in Niger State. We are still talking about the 25 they kidnapped from Kebbi State. Anyway, let me not talk much. Please listen to them.
Psalms 96:14 asks, "Who will rise up for me against the wicked? Who will take a stand for me against evildoers?" Nigeria is facing one of the gravest religious freedom crises in the world. As the former chairman of the House Foreign Affairs Committee on Africa, I have visited and have seen firsthand the direness of the conditions in what is now the deadliest place on earth to be a Christian. They are targeted, displaced, and killed simply for their faith. The ancient plea, "Is there no help for the widow's son?" still echoes today. Since 2019, nearly 17,000 Christians have been killed. In the first 7 months of this year alone, hundreds more were murdered. On June 13th, during the Yellowater massacre, more than 280 Christians were slaughtered in a single day. These are not isolated tragedies, but a sustained pattern of religiously motivated violence, often ignored or even enabled by the Nigerian government. Extremist groups like Boko Haram, Fulani militants, and ISIS West Africa attack often without any meaningful intervention from authorities. The lack of response has created an atmosphere of impunity where Christians continue to live in constant threat and fear. The United States has previously recognized this crisis. President Trump not only designated Nigeria as a country of particular concern during his first term, but redesignated it again in his second term after President Biden inexplicably removed that designation. Religious persecution is tied to political repression and weakening institutions in Nigeria. Example, the detention of Nnamdi Kanu is a clear example. In 2022, Nigeria's Court of Appeal struck down the charges against him and ordered his release. The UN Working Group on Arbitrary Detention has also called for his unconditional release. Yet he remains in solitary confinement, in deteriorating health, and recently had to represent himself in court. Nigeria has signaled that the law is optional and targeting Christians is fair game. Just hours ago this morning, despite the pleas and cries of the Nigerian people and many Nigerian lawmakers, Nnamdi Kanu was convicted on all charges. For fiscal year 2025, the U.S. has requested nearly $8 billion for sub-Saharan Africa. But when Americans see political prisoners, judicial defiance, and the slaughter of Christians, they understandably ask as they meet their own struggles, why should our tax dollars support governments that refuse to protect their own people? Is our aid aiding a genocide? Nigeria is a nation of tremendous potential, but that potential is being choked out by violent persecution of its Christian population. No country can build a stable future where churches are burned, believers are killed, and communities live in fear. The United States must stay engaged, and Nigeria must change course now.
Yes, just like I told you, Nigeria is on trial. Take a look or listen to this one again.
The simple fact is radicalized Islamists are running amok in Nigeria. They're terrorizing moderate Muslims, they're terrorizing Christians, and they are targeting Christians. That cannot be disputed. And while we see many people trying to emphasize the outside issues, lifestyle, who owns land, who is the herder, et cetera, they want to emphasize that those are the key drivers and that they're the key drivers of everything but religion. And I and many others, and I'm not just talking about those of us on this committee or Americans, I'm talking about religious leaders in Nigeria believe religion is one of, if not the main driver of targeted violence right now. We just heard from Bishop Anagbe. A week and a half ago, I talked to President Magaji. President Magaji is the president of my own, he's the Nigerian president of my own faith sect, the Christian Reformed Church. We have 400,000, mostly from a Dutch background, 400,000 participants and members here in North America between the United States and Canada. We have 500,000 in Nigeria. We are essentially an African church that happens to be headquartered in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And I want to ask this question, because this seems to be sort of part of the central argument. Well, this isn't necessary. Well, certainly the Trump administration believed it was necessary the first go around. And I want to ask this question. Did things improve when the Biden administration removed the CPC?
Thank you for your question, Representative Hyde.
And just for the record, I'm seeing a number of heads shaking no in the right behind you. And these are people that may have a little better information than what the American media is, and they're all nodding their head right now. So go ahead.
Thank you for your question, Representative Huizenga. As you mentioned, violence has increased over the last several years. It was unfortunate that the Biden administration chose to remove Nigeria as a CPC in 2021 and 2022 and 2023, and President Trump's bold action to redesignate them is a wake-up call to the Nigerian government. And as you mentioned, extremist religious ideology is, of course, a primary motivator of these attacks. The attackers themselves use religious language. They target churches. They target Christians on holidays.
Yeah, and absolutely. It was Christmas Eve of 2023 when 200 people were murdered, killed in a church. Now, I want to ask this. So one question was, did things improve? I think the answer is no on that. Here's the question. Proportionally, do we see Christians killing Muslims in Christian areas of Nigeria the way that we are seeing radicalized Islamists killing Christians in Muslim areas of Nigeria?
What I can tell you, Representative Huizenga, is that Christians are disproportionately targeted based on their population.
Exactly. And by the way, for those that you can't pick up with the microphones, there's audible yeses behind you. Again, the people that are watching who are nodding their heads. Why? Because they have lived this. Their families have lived this. I went to school with kids from Nigeria. I've got neighbors who've been missionaries there, who have family there, who have friends there, who know this is going on. Yet we've got not just the mass media, we got people within Congress denying that this is happening, or certainly de-emphasizing it. It ought to be outrageous that it is Christians, moderate Muslims, anyone being terrorized by these radicalized Islamists in Nigeria, and we've got the Tinubu government sitting back and not doing enough. I recently just was interviewed by Nigerian television, Arise TV, and that was really their question. Is the Tinubu government doing enough? And I had to answer, no, they are not. And I do not understand how a delegation can come here to the United States and downplay and come up with all of these other excuses as to why this is allowed to happen. It should be rejected and should be called out for what it is.
Father, I asked you about Nigeria. The government there has said that Christians are not endangered, but others say there are massacres and acts of persecution. Are Christians safe in Nigeria? And separately, what are you thinking ahead of your conversation with American youth for the National Catholic Youth Conference?
I'll answer the first question. I think in Nigeria, in certain areas, there is certainly a danger for Christians, but for all people. Christians and Muslims have been slaughtered. There's a question of terrorism. There's a question of that has to do a lot with economics, if you will, and control of the lands that they have. Unfortunately, many Christians have died, and I think it's very important to seek a way with the government, with all peoples, to promote authentic religious freedom, respect for all people.
Chair recognizes Mr. Huizenga.
Thank you, Chairman Smith. And I'm going to deviate a little bit from my written remarks, much to the chagrin of my staff, but I feel it needs to be addressed right from the very beginning. The simple fact is radicalized Islamists are running amok in Nigeria. They're terrorizing moderate Muslims. They're terrorizing Christians, and they are targeting Christians. That cannot be disputed. And while we see many people trying to emphasize the outside issues, lifestyle, who owns land, who is the herder, et cetera, they want to emphasize that those are the key drivers, and that they're the key drivers of everything but religion. And I and many others, and I'm not just talking about those of us on this committee or Americans, I'm talking about religious leaders in Nigeria, believe religion is one of, if not the main driver of targeted violence.
From today onwards, I have serious interest in the case outside Nigeria of Nnamdi Kanu. 3 hours ago, I spent drafting a judicial review against the government of United Kingdom in the United Kingdom court to review why they did not see rendition, why we should give evidence, thorough evidence, how Mr. Nnamdi Kanu was abducted without the country where he was abducted from knowing that he had been abducted. They came stealthily, stole the guy, abducted the guy, blindfolded him, took him to Nigeria. The court today has said yes, he was renditioned. The judge, a lousy, silly, shambolic judge who seemed to have gone to a school compound but never gone into a classroom, tried to summarize to us. In doing so, he said he brought it out, all of it. And that is very good evidence which I have captured for me. I have, from today onwards, in the old lady in the court, in His Majesty's court, I've become an interested party on this case because it is outside Nigeria's armpit. I will now take on the Ministry of Foreign and the Commonwealth that has failed to reinforce, that has failed to investigate the renditioning of Nnamdi Kanu, a British national, taken away. And the courts in that country, Kenya, said no, you must bring back that person because you violated our laws. How on earth a Commonwealth country violates another Commonwealth airspace, comes at night, kills people, takes them,